Welcome to Behind the Muscle podcast. Today's guest is a prep coach and NPC bodybuilder. Today's guest is Justin Mihaly. Justin, welcome back to the podcast, man.
Quentin, I appreciate you having me back on round two. Let's bring even more fire. I'm ready for it.
I'm ready for it too, man. I just, again, thank you for coming on again, man. Now, for everybody that's out there listening or watching this specific episode with Justin, it's been probably well over a year ago. Justin was on the podcast. We kind of did the normal, typical Behind the Muscle podcast. We got into Justin's upbringing and childhood and how he got into bodybuilding. We're going to kind of just transition into a recap of Justin's 2022, what his vision is for 2023, and we're going to kind of get into some topics within bodybuilding and coaching. So, Justin, with that being said, why don't you kind of give us a recap of 2022? I want you to start with the bodybuilding side, your competitive side, and then I want you to touch on your coaching side, and then we'll just kind of take the conversation wherever it goes from there. Okay.
Yeah, man, 2022 was a wild year for Justin, the bodybuilder. Around January last year, man, I was looking the best that I ever have. I was around 273, holding that pretty well. I was in much better condition. I've ever been in the 270s range. And then you know what, man, I kind of went through a phase of I had a lot on my plate in terms of coaching responsibilities, and I kind of felt like there was a lot of energy going two ways that were opposing directions. There was one that was like, hey, I had a couple athletes in the time that just warranted a lot of attention and kind of demanded a lot from me, and I was happy to give that. It was, that was a boundary and a precedent that I had set. And it sort of pulled away a little bit from, what I wanted to accomplish in my bodybuilding scope. In 2021, I had won the Kuklo, and my goal was, okay, I want to get ready to be on the national stage, like at nationals in 2022. So I was going to give myself this long time. I had some health issues pop up, at the end of that Kuklo prep that I corrected in the off season, and I was growing. I was feeling good. I was feeling healthy. I had to have a kind of executive decision with myself of, this is a big year for me as a coach, because going into it, I thought I was going to have a strong chance to win an Olympia as a coach. And I was like, I think for where I'm at right now, my energy needs to go there. I also had someone, who I really believed I was going to be able to get, that elusive super heavyweight pro card at North Americans or Nationals and be able to take him there. And so I took a step back myself, and I kind of, did what I needed to do as a coach to drive those people forward. And in this, man, I just kind of, I was training, but I was more so focusing on their training sessions. I was eating one or two meals a day. I wasn't getting done what I needed to get done. I got really, really busy for the first time in my life. Just tons of clients, just so many. And it was dope to be in demand. I didn't know how to handle it, though. And there was a lot of talent coming through the door. And, I there for a minute, and from January until about May, I really was just kind of lost within my own body, but I wasn't real sure what to do. I wasn't focused on it. I was feeling good. I was feeling healthy. I liked how it looked at the time. And then May came around, in about the second or third week of May. I think it was around that third week, right after I turned 29, right after my birthday. I was like, man, I want to get back at it. I want to get back after. I was about 241 pounds. So I lost a lot of size, man. It was tough. And I reached out to a good buddy of mine. I was like, hey, I bet we can win the Texas State in November. And, it's May, and I'm a super heavyweight, and I don't look like one right now. I look like a wannabe classic physique guy that's still not big enough. We went through a phase. We started attacking hard. I gave that 28, 29 week prep, whatever it was. absolutely nailed everything. And I told him, I said, hey, my number one item, I want to finally get peeled. I've won 2 overalls, but I can't look at either of those pictures and say that I was peeled. I was in shape. I want to be in extraordinary shape. Like I want to show up in conditioning of where I set the precedent for where my athletes come in at, right? So we start the process. Things are looking really good. Things are moving smooth. All of a sudden, it's about 266, and that's kind of where we started our fat loss phase from. Muscle memory is an amazing thing. You step away from a little bit, and you start pushing it. You start pushing it again. Your body's like, "Oh, I remember this. I know this all too well." Um, so felt good about it, man. I went through the prep, and I finally got that conditioning mark that I really wanted to. When I look back on the pictures, even today, I was like, "Fuck, dude, you were diced." And I sacrificed real hard, man. I went to a place. I talked about it on my podcast with Justin Jacoby. I went to a place where I couldn't have any friends. I couldn't take anyone there with me. I had to isolate those last 6 weeks. I was hungry and I was pushing and I was doing everything I possibly could to just get peeled. I beat my Kuklo conditioning around 5 weeks out. So I mean it wasn't even close. And I was like, hey, I want more. I want more. I want to be skinned. Dude, I got down to 221 pounds at one point. Like for the Kuklo, I was like 234 on stage. I got down to 231, and dude, I was just so razor sharp, and I had striations everywhere. And the peak process came, started feeding things up. Weighed in the super heavyweight class. I went out there, um, won the super heavyweight class. And I wasn't able to pull it through in the overall, and that stings real bad, man. I lost to a really great champion. The guy that beat me definitely deserved. His name's Law. He's a great bodybuilder, really good dude. I enjoyed getting to chat with him, getting to know him, and I'm really rooting for that guy. He can be extremely special in the sport. But to say that it left a bad taste in my mouth. I was up there and I was fully expecting that the number that was called was mine. I was fully expecting that the name that was called was mine. It was my first time competing in front of Tyler Mannion, and really the only goal was I wanted to show him how much I love this sport. He knows me as the coach. This is the first time he got to see me as a competitor, and I took a lot of pride in that. I thought about that during the prep. I would be doing cardio, and I'd be like, "You got to impress Tyler." Impress Tyler and you'll be good. But the reality is I shook to win, came up short. And that sucked. So right now, I'm pushing real hard. And Nationals this year's in Dallas. If I think I can be a top 5 guy there, then I'm going to hop in and do it. Team Mihaly is going to be sponsoring nationals, and it's a big deal for me. I've got a lot of athletes that are going to do it. So if I can't be, in the mix, I'm not going to do it. But right now, I'm sitting around 258. I feel real good. I've definitely never been this tight at that body weight before. Never hit these numbers in the gym at that body weight before. So things feel good there. Now the coaching side, man, we sweat, we cleaned. We cleaned. We put 51 athletes on stage. We had 52 open class wins. We had 29 overall wins. Had an IFBB win. Had 6 IFBB top 5s in 3 different divisions: wellness, classic physique, and women's physique. Let's see, had an overall win at the national level in women's physique. We balled out. We balled out, and the precedent's really set. I expect W's for sure, and that's what I want to prep. That's what I think. When you think of TM, you can think whatever you want, but that when we show up, that we're going to be on point. And I take a lot of pride in that. You see a TM row backstage, you see a TM shirt on a dude, and that they're going to be on point. And this year, we're going to completely annihilate those numbers. I've got a few people I feel really good about the Olympia that they'll be taking part of the Olympia. Brandon Cooper is one. He's one of my best friends for 10 years now. At this point, we've been extremely tight for about 10 years. Made a ton of progress since the last time we were on stage together. We only had 8 weeks to work together last time, and we had a nice finished product, but it's nothing like this one. My expectation is he and I get a W in a pro show this year. I have two wellness girls, Alyssa Cerna and Alexis Figueroa, that I know I can get a pro W with them and get them qualified for the Olympia. Those three off the top are just really impressing me right now with setting the precedent for the rest of the team. They're leaders. They really are. And they go really hard for the sport. They love the sport a lot. And that's what I want to work with as a coach. I want to work with people who love this shit. I don't care about social media. I don't care about your desires there. I want people who just, like, at the end of the day, if the lights are off in the gym, no one else is there, you're still going to show up and you're going to fucking get it done. That's what I want to see. That's what I want to be surrounded by. I've got a lot of people like that right now, so it feels really nice. But 2022 is good, but 23 is going to be way better.
Okay. Now, Justin, a couple things that I want to kind of just pull out of what you kind of just shared in recapping the competing for yourself and the coaching from last year. The first thing is, if you don't mind, you said after the Kuklo in 2021, you had some health issues that you had to address. Yep. Can you talk a little bit about that? And then how did you correct them? How did you address them, please?
Yeah, man, I had some bad kidney stuff going on. So we found out that I have this really high, I can't pronounce it. It's a really high electrolyte turnover. And at the time I was training at a gym that didn't have AC. The Kuklo's in May. So we were training and it was very hot. It was extremely hot. And man, I stopped urinating for a few days, drinking that much water and dude, and I knew something was off. And we pushed through it. I pushed through it personally. I didn't really say anything. I to be honest, at the time, in that phase, you kind of already don't feel too well. I didn't really notice anything was off. And then I was in the gym and I was like, damn, I haven't peed in a minute. I guess what what is going on? So I have a good doctor friend here in town, out the Regen Health and Wellness guys out in Lakeway. I hit him up. I go see what's happening. Oh man, yeah, my kidney scores just in regular labs were kind of all over the place. I had a cystatin C showing up that wasn't very positive. I had things that just weren't looking good, right? And I was like, fuck, dude, like I got to get these things fixed. Well, at the time I didn't know near as much as I knew now, but at the time I knew more than enough about internal health stuff. I've kind of been a nerd about it for quite some time. But, I figured it out. I figured out on my own. My blood pressure was nuts, man. I was waking up 168 over 100. I was like, fuck, this is miserable. This is bad. So that was the second time that I've had a kidney issue. And both times it was in gyms that didn't have AC. They were extremely hot. I was going through contest prep. And it just didn't work out. So I finally got an official diagnosis, and yes, you turn over electrolytes at a high clip. So now, I train at a gym with AC. When it's like in the hundreds outside and stuff, like I'll go walk, I'll go, spend time in it, whatever. I'm just very cautious with my fluid intake. At the time I was probably drinking about 1.25 gallons or somewhere in there, 1.5 gallons, something in there. And that just wasn't enough with how much I was excreting, with how much I was excreting through my skin, like how much I was sweating. And my sodium, I keep it around 6 to 7 grams a day now, because I just work through so much. I take a little extra potassium now. I keep that around 4.5, 5 grams today now, and everything seems to be pretty stable. And we had no issues that popped up at any point, even in peak week for the Texas State, even with diuretic usage. Nothing popped up at any point that, really suggested anything's off. Got my labs pulled. What was that? A couple weeks ago? Last week, got my labs pulled. Things look pretty good. Like I right now I'm the healthiest that I've been as a bodybuilder. And that's why I'm making by far the best progression that I've ever made. This prep, I had, man, I had like real bad gut issues about 5 weeks out. And man, I went down this rabbit hole of configuring every single mechanism, biological, cellular function of our entire digestive tract from your mouth all the way to the other side to your anus, everything in between. I just became an absolute expert on. So I could help myself. I was like, man, that was miserable. But you're 5 weeks out. You're peeled. This is the best you've ever looked. And you can't pass the bowel movement. All the food's going in, just feel like it's sitting. It didn't even feel like it was sitting in my stomach. It felt like it was just sitting in my intestines, like my small intestine, my large intestine. Well, obviously, we know food sitting in your small intestine, that's bad. We're not supposed to have bacteria in there. And food, when it sits, it ferments. And I was like, I need to get this fixed. So, we tried some things and they didn't really work. So I just took it in my own hands and was, let's go. I'm going to figure this out. But it's dope because on the other end, like now I'm like, hey, my athletes have a problem. Oh, I have an answer. Whatever that problem is, I promise I have an answer now. And so, that's nice. It made me a better coach.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every prep has its own set of challenges. And you know what I get frustrated about, Quinn? Some people act like they're like a victim to these challenges. And I'm like, hey, look, I was never in the NFL, but I do know that when you win a Super Bowl, there was a lot of adversity you had to go through to win that Super Bowl. And like, for us, the way that we prep, the way that a serious bodybuilder um, goes about their execution, it's our Super Bowl. The Texas State was my Super Bowl. The next show that I do will be my Super Bowl. It's like you lay it all on the line. It's all or nothing. But when you're doing that with your body, when you're driving your body in this complete overdrive, dude, shit's gonna backfire. Uh, I'm not sure how much of a car guy you are, but for your listeners, dude, a Lamborghini, the shit breaks. Like the shit breaks at a really high clip. It's not like a Honda. It's not like a Toyota. It is not that level of sustainability. Why? Because this thing has, I don't know how many horsepower, 700 horsepower. You use that, you just go seventh gear pedal to the metal, dude, shit breaks. Well, that's the entire contest prep is a Lamborghini in seventh gear pedal to the metal. So shit breaks, and people feel bad for themselves or helpless, and it's like, hey, dude, just let's figure it out. Let's figure out what's going on. But something at somewhere, if you pushed all out as hard as you could, there's adversity that's going to pop up in your prep period just because shit breaks.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. Justin. Now I want to ask you something else. You said you kind of, so the beginning of last year, you got busy with business, the business of coaching, and you lost a lot of weight. And then, but you said, hey, like as soon as you kind of got back focused, you knew that your body was going to respond quickly, muscle memory, all that. Now, the question I have for you is, I think it's a lot of it has to do with social media. It's like, every day you've got to give it 100% and, all out and, keep your foot on the gas pedal and no days off and all this jargon, right? Because we got to be hardcore because we're bodybuilders. But the fact is that, like you said, if you keep your foot on the gas pedal for an extended period of time, especially if you're going to be competing once a year, twice a year, 3 times a year, whatever it is, like the body is not, we were not made or created to sustain the foot on the gas pedal for an extended period of time. Things are going to start backing up, breaking down, yada, yada, yada. So the point that I'm trying to get at, the question I want to get to you, Justin, is do you think, especially, I guess, once you kind of get maybe into that middle echelon or higher echelon of an NPC athlete, or if you are a drug-free athlete and you kind of get into the higher ranks and into the IFBB and all that, once you kind of have a muscle foundation, do you think it's beneficial for progression to actually take an extended period of time off? I mean, look, and the perfect example, I think, is Chris Bumstead. Last year, he took 3 months off. I don't think he really did any training. He was obviously off the gear and all of that. He just came out with his latest video. He's taking another month off, and then he's going to get back on. He talks about this stuff. He's 4-time champion, going to be 5-time. So will you expound on that? Give us your perspective, because I think there's a lot of gold within kind of taking some time off from everything, even lifting, the gym, cardio, everything, and just giving your body, your brain, your soul a break. Will you speak on that, please?
Yeah, man, I really enjoy this topic a lot, actually. So, one thing that we have to constantly keep in mind, and this obviously happens the further away from homeostasis you go. And what is homeostasis? Homeostasis is just this is where we are normal, as normal as possible. You know, where we have we have good cardiovascular health, we have good enough muscle, we have healthy liver, kidneys, we have healthy brain functioning. All right, the further away from homeostasis we break in terms of mostly muscular size, and then everything that comes along with that down to a cellular level, and including the further you get away from homeostasis from a mental perspective as well, because you have to go to a very extreme place to be able to get to that level, that caliber of body. The more rest and recovery you are simply going to need. Again, shit breaks. Right now, our body is not a Lamborghini. All right. Our body is honest. It's a Toyota Camry. It's going to go 500,000 miles for you if you take care of it. But we keep taking this thing to the garage and adding modifications and changing things out and upgrading and improving and improving and improving. And all of a sudden, you're on a Toyota Camry chassis, but you've got Lamborghini parts all over you. You are still a Toyota Camry in nature. You're still on that chassis. You're still on the foundation of a Toyota Camry. And that's not the Toyota Camry is not a negative thing. That's probably the optimal place to live, is what I'm trying to get at. We're taking this to such an extreme that if you're driving that car in seventh gear, pound just flooring it all the time, shit's going to break. Okay, so what do? We drive it in seventh gear, we'll pull back, we'll drive it in fourth gear, we'll pull back, we'll put it in park here and there. But at some point, you've got to step out of the vehicle and you've got to walk a little bit or drive something else, because you just got to simply let this thing settle in and give it a break and stop pushing it so hard. I mean, I just saw, I can't remember who it was, but there was a professional bodybuilder that just yesterday posted it was his first training session since the Olympia. And I was like, hey, hats off, man. It was 5 or 6 weeks that, he took off. It's difficult because me, for example, so I'm hyper competitive and I lost my last show. Well, how did I respond? Probably not in the most optimal way possible. I took one rest day in 31 days. And then all of a sudden I woke up and I was like, oh, I don't feel good. So I took like 3 straight rest days. I just really allowed myself to kind of reboot and re-energize. But I think it's difficult when you're at the upper echelon of, a sport, and there's only one champion in each division. And there's only one second place guy. There's only one third place guy. It's like if you didn't, achieve what you wanted to achieve there, it's very difficult to pull back. The reality that there's a lot of stress, and I want to talk all the way down to the cellular level. Your cells inside of your body, your brain cells, your blood cells, your beta cells, your pancreas cells, your every cell that you have in your body, your fat cells even. The harder we push things, the greater level of oxidative stress that we simply have at the cellular level, and things start happening in terms of resistance that'll take place either at the cell membrane or the nucleus of the cell that will just completely disrupt their function and their channels. I mean, we see this in brain cells. When you take brain cells and there's plaque buildup in your brain, plaque buildup relates to Alzheimer's, right? Well, what happens to these brain cells? These brain cells stop allowing things to pass through their cell membrane, or messages can't get transcribed accurately when they pass through a receptor on the membrane and come into the nucleus. At the cellular level, these things are off. Well, if you ran a lot of tren, a lot of equipoise, you might have a little bit of plaque buildup occurring there. If you don't take a step back and some time off, that oxidative stress is going to get real intense. And we look at I mean, there's the reality is there's a lot of bodybuilders with some really wacky mental health going on. I'm not saying I'm perfect by any stretch. I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm this saint of mental health or anything like that. But I mean, I'm looking around, I'm looking at two things. I'm looking at, man, there's a lot of people who are a little whacked out in bodybuilding. On the other side, everyone's dying from heart issues. Everyone, every bodybuilder. Well, what do you think's driving that? And people be like, androgens or steroids. Like what? Like, I mean, that's the most cop out answer you've ever seen. Like, what's driving it is your heart cells become resistant to things that are healthy for it, or become resistant to cross flow through the membrane, and or they become resistant to whatever it is you have going on. They accumulate all this oxidative stress, which drives inflammation in the heart, and this inflammation, which steroids do drive oxidative stress, but like training drives oxidative stress, being super muscular drives oxidative stress, not recovering properly, not having good enough sleep, not taking time away from dieting metrics and having to be shredded all the time. These things all drive oxidative stress. So at some point, yeah, you need to let your body chill out. You need to load up on glutathione, load up on N-acetylcysteine to help that glutathione pool, load up on things like melatonin. Melatonin is one of the greatest supplements a bodybuilder can take. It gets delivered directly into your brain. And what happens? It gets broken down as an antioxidant in your brain. And literally, an antioxidant in your brain is going to go around the brain cells that have reactive oxygen species on them, in them, wherever, clear those things out. We need to just really take better care of ourselves, starting with our heart, with our brain. And if your heart and your brain are in a good place, well, fuck, your livers, kidneys, your stomach, everything else is probably in a good place as well. But taking a step back, taking prolonged periods of rest. I mean, I preach this in my preps. When we're going to prep for a long period of time. Why? Because I want to have a week long diet break in there. At another junction, I want to have a week long cardio break in there. I want to be able to have leeway for you to, hey, we're sore, we're struggling. Let's take a few days off of training. I want to have time in there. We take off of injections and allow the concentration values of androgens to drop down. Like my preps are going to be long because we're not just going to go pedal to the metal the whole time. We're going to take 26 weeks and we're going to do this thing the right way. And I think, this will be my first full year really implementing that. I really learned that last year that, oh, this is the way that you prep. This for me. This is my correct way of prepping people. I think we're going to see some really good results from that, but we get so scared to take a break. And taking a break from the gym doesn't mean you can't work on other things. I think people need to have other things to work on. Like, hey, yeah, you're not training today. How about you learn a new skill? Like go on YouTube and learn something. Go outside and meditate. Go make a friend. Like fill your time with other things. I think we just get so hyper focused on this one exercise is going to make or break. It's not going to. We just we need. I say this coming from a place of I expect championships. I want to win championships, and winning championships is not healthy. It's not hard. The reality is you can win championships and take a little bit of a break. And someone like Chris Bumstead, prime example, and people will be like, oh, well, it's Chris Bumstead. It's easy to do then. No, there's something to be learned. It's not about Chris Bumstead being who he is now. There's something to be learned about taking the appropriate and the slow route to get to where you want to go. I always use the candlestick analogy. We only have so much candlestick. And I just made a post on Instagram about this today. You don't know how much candlestick you have. You don't know how long it is, how wide its circumference is, how many branches there might be on it. All you know is that you're burning your candlestick. And when you're in a contest prep or when you miss a reverse phase or you're blasting PEDs or whatever, you're blowtorching your candlestick. Like I think we just need to respect that a little bit more, respect our health a little bit more.
Excellent. Okay. One other thing I want to ask you about in terms of your personal, prep and competing last year, Justin. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I saw on some of your posts in terms of your competing, did you kind of work with Cam Cheek? Was he kind of your guy that was guiding you last year?
Yeah. Cameron and I worked together for that Texas State show. And yeah, I mean, we made a really good team. That's for sure. I was definitely happy with our end result.
Okay, so I've had Cam on a couple times, had a lot of his athletes. Have a lot of respect for him, excited for his future as just a a top coach.
Hmm.
Now obviously you're a top coach and you're going to
Hmm.
continue to climb.
Hmm.
So and you know how to prep and you know how to
Hmm.
you got the bodybuilding thing down. So out of all the coaches that you have access to and all the
Yep.
knowledge and experience you have, why did you decide to bring Cam on board to kind of help you, guide you, lead you in terms of this prep for yourself last year?
Yeah, great question. So at the time, Cameron and I were really, really tight friends. He was one of my best friends. And I've been chatting with him about a little bit and whatnot. I worked with Matt Jansen before that, and it was, phenomenal. I loved working with Matt just like I love working with Cam. And I decided I want to get back into it. And I was like, you know what? Like, not sure who exactly I want to use, but I think I want to, give it a run this year. And right around that time, Cameron and I had a conversation, and he was like, "Man, like, I want to get more big guys. I want to get more big dudes." And he said that at the time I was saying this, and I was like, "Well, shit. You know what? I'll let Cam work on me. Like, that'll bring eyeballs. People going to be following the prep, just by nature, wanting to see how things turn out here." And so I hit him up one day, and I was like, "Hey, dude, let's do Texas State." And he was like, "Really? Like with me?" And I was like, "Yeah, dude, I believe in you. I think you're a phenomenal coach. I think I think as far as young coaches go, I mean that guy's got it. He's going to be good. I'm excited to battle out with him for a lot of years to come. 'Cause he's real good. He's only getting better. Like he's strong as a coach, man. And so we prepped through. I loved the result. I enjoyed working with him a lot. It was really good. And yeah, I mean, I have nothing but good things to say about Cam. He's a really good coach. He's very, very talented. And I loved the peak. I loved our look. I loved the communication was really good. So yeah, I went to him one day. We got started right then. He sent me the plan. I went to the grocery store and we got after it. So yeah, it was a really good time and definitely a super special memory I'll hold on to forever.
Hmm. Was there
Yeah.
something, Justin, during your time working with Cam last year? Is there something like during that entire process that maybe you gleaned from him or you learned from him that maybe you're going to apply to yourself going forward as an athlete, but also as a coach?
Yeah, the salt packets. The salt packets. So I was like, what is up with these salt packets? In peak week, I have my style and way of doing things. And I was like, hey, this is working pretty well, but what one of my favorite things, I guess, about myself is I am the most hypercritical person of myself. I will tear down my protocols and all my thought processes and everything that I do. And he has me start these salt packets like, man, I want to say 3 weeks out. We started salt packets with every meal. And all right, the first week I was like, all right, whatever. This is the exact same thing as me salting my meals normal. And then the first time he made a little salt manipulation, I was like, wait, that was way easier. It was around the same time I like making my first salt manipulation, but there was a smoother process because at the time my salt manipulation was like, hey, are we adding salt like via teaspoon or are we like shaking? And if we're gonna add another quarter teaspoon, we're gonna add a couple more shakes, but that's not really as accurate as I like to be with things. Well, each of these little salt packs was like 600 milligrams of sodium or something like that, and 200 milligrams of sodium. And so, I'm putting them, in all my meals and whatever. And the first time he made a move, I was like, oh man, that was really accurate. Like that, I know exactly how much salt we just increased by. And I was like, oh, this guy's on to something. This guy's on to something. I like this. And then throughout peak week, I'm seeing it play out. And I think I told him we were like at the house in San Antonio, like 2 days out or something, me, him, Justin, Jacoby. And I was like, hey, I'm stealing the salt packet idea. I was stealing that salt packet idea. And then so I started implementing it. And I had great success with it because everything was even more precise. And I really, yeah, I loved that a lot. The other thing was his check-in picture setup. He travels around with this whole setup of like this black curtain and these rods, and then two lights, two super bright LED lights that shine onto it. And it made the picture so easy and seamless. Well, so then I went to nationals. I ordered off of Amazon, everything. I set it up at nationals, and then I had what eight? I had 8 athletes at nationals, and like all of them but one got first call out, placed top 6, and like I'm peaking these people, and they're just coming over to the house. They're dropping their draws. I'm taking pictures of them. I'm assessing right there. I'm giving them their plan, and then off we go. And we have this extreme consistency with the lighting setup and the black drop and everything, that we don't have to search around for lighting. It's like 10 p.m. at night, and we don't have to rely on this yellow hue from a lamp. I have this auto regulated. So to be honest, those two things helped a lot, and they're two things that I definitely took from Cameron that I'm going to be implementing. Hey, but at least I give credit where it's due, and I told him I was going to steal him.
Yeah, no, that's cool. I love that. We can always learn from anybody if we're open and willing, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay, now this is because I know that you're more than just bodybuilding. Like you're a thinker, and so I want to go in this direction because I know you're gonna have something to say about it. So
Mhm.
again, earlier you said at the beginning of last year, you kind of were your energy was going in a couple different directions. It was the coaching and the bodybuilding for yourself and stuff. So I want to talk about energy because this is something all of us as human beings have energy. And when we step in the room, and if we're cognizant of other people's energy, we can feel it. There's negative, there's positive, there's hyper, there's all kinds of different types of energy. So in terms of just being a human being and going through this human experience on planet Earth, talk to me a little bit about are you cognizant and are you aware of people's energy? Is that something that you're working on personally, and you tap into some of your athletes? Like, talk a little bit about that, Justin, please.
Oh man, we cultivate our own energy from inside. And see, there's two types of people, but all people can be either of these types of people. There's influencers and there's influencees. If you walk in a room and you adapt the energy of the room, you're an influencee. And the reality of life, look, we're humans. We're doing the best we can, but sometimes people are negative, and sometimes situations are negative, and environments are negative. If you walk into a negative room and you're the influencee, you're going to be negative. And see, I'm not some like old wise guy or anything. I'm 29. I'll turn 30 this year. It's hopefully I have a lot of healthy time left on this earth. But one thing I do know for a damn fact: when I walk in a room, that energy is going to elevate. I'm gonna bring my smile. I'm a big dude. I'm like 6 feet tall, about 260, a big guy. Just by nature, I'm loud. I'm obnoxious. I'm happy. I'm genuinely like I wake up every morning just happy AF. Like I cultivated this. I manifested this. Dude, I was down in the dumps. 2 times in my life, I would say I was in the absolute most bottom place that someone could possibly be. I'm not saying I was suicidal, but there's definitely been times that, man, that would have been a nice outlet. I've been all the way down. And now I feel like it's all the way up. But the beautiful thing is tomorrow is going to be better than today because I'm manifesting it. I'm cultivating it. I'm putting the work in to make sure that tomorrow is better than today, that my energy shows up tomorrow better than today. I can't stand stagnancy. I don't put up with it. It repulses me. I don't enjoy mediocrity. If you're a mediocre person, then that's your decision. It's not X, Y, or Z's fault. It's not what happened to you. It's a decision that we actively make every single day. I just got off of a podcast with Stacy Burr before this, and we discussed in the podcast. I don't care, but I don't view success or lack thereof financial. I view it as your soul, your spirit. Where you at? What you bringing? What you showing up? Like we just talked about, when you step into a room, what happens? There's there's some people on this earth, and it sucks. There's people in this industry that are so goddamn broke they don't even know what to do with it. And I'm not talking about finances. There's some people who are rich in finances but broke in spirit, and I don't care. I won't surround myself with you. My reality has just been, hey, I'm real fortunate to be here. I'm real fortunate to do what I do. I mean, think about this. We could have been born any time in history, but you and I, Quentin, Justin, everyone listening to this, we're here right now. And we have the technology to listen to this podcast. We have the time to listen to this podcast. We have the health. We can hear things, listen to this podcast, understand what's going on. We have the opportunity today to improve ourselves based on the way wherever we woke up. We have the opportunity right now to become better, and how you can just guarantee that you become a better person every single day. Number one, I wake up and I give myself daily affirmations. Hey, dude, I don't wake up just in love with myself every day. I wake up in love with life every day, but not myself every day. I'm gonna give myself affirmations in the morning. I'm gonna meditate every single day. When I'm not on a podcast, when I'm done chatting with you, I'm gonna hang up. I'm gonna get to work, and I'm gonna put meditative music on my sound system around my entire house. I'm gonna be happy as hell. I'm gonna take my dog on a walk. I'm gonna find somewhere where nobody else is. We're gonna sit on the ground. We're gonna lay there for about a half hour. I'm going to enjoy my time. I'm going to be extremely present with him. I'm just going to listen to the city. I'm going to feel the earth. I'm going to find gratitude in these little things. I can guarantee that people who truly want to change their energy, change their outcome, change their life, they're able to do it. They're just too lazy to start, or they're scared of some, like, people, like, being scared of some sort of failure when you've never actually achieved anything is just so weird to me. Like, how are you scared of failure? If there's two types of people. There's those who succeed and do the shit they want to do, and then there's people who don't. And if you're not doing it, then you're failing anyways. But these people are already failing and they're scared of failure. And I'm just like, what do you even, like, wake up and show out. Like, give your best. And that's all that we can control. We control our energy. We manifest our energy. We control how we make others feel. When I get off this call, my goal with you, Quentin, is you leave this call with a smile on your face. I really enjoy talking to Justin Mihaly. I can't wait to do it again. When I hold the door for someone at coffee, I let them go in front of me. They always try to let me go first. I'm like, nah, I got time, dude. I got time. I got energy. You go right on ahead. And, it always makes them feel good. Every interaction you have with someone throughout the day, like, you can make them feel better. You can make them feel something inside themselves that maybe someone else hasn't. You don't know what other people are going through. You don't know what they've been told. And I know in the world of social media, like, dude, I get some mean messages. And you know what? It makes me smile, as I'm just happy I don't have to, be in a negative headspace. I don't have to be the person that's spreading that negativity, but I could have been. Like, when I started out in this, like, I've had a rough climb to wherever it is I am now, whatever my status is now. I don't have some wacky physique that got me a bunch of followers. I don't have this person that hired me, like, that was this top Olympia guy that had tons and tons of followers and opportunities that, gave me a platform. I've worked myself and my not very good starting foundation into a physique that's 1-2 overalls. I've worked with a ton of individuals, and every single one of them that bought in, I made them better at the pro level, the NPC level, the novice level. It's been a hard climb to the top. My reality is I just keep showing up, and I'm going to keep showing out. And whoever gives me an opportunity, I'm going to win with. And whoever shares some energy with me, I'm going to make sure that they're a better person because of it. I'm going to do everything in my power to ensure those two things for anyone who instills trust and belief in me.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm smiling, man. You got me smiling. It's good.
Mission accomplished. It. Hey, I'm done for the day. I'm out.
Not quite yet. Few
Yeah.
more minutes. Few more minutes. Okay, I want to ask you, if you don't mind sharing, what are some of the affirmations when you wake up that you begin to speak to yourself or speak about yourself?
Dude, so a big one for me this off season has been, I've been taking this off season real serious. I told you I would love to be on stage at nationals. This year there's going to be a Fat TM logo back there. It's in Dallas, which is 2 hours up the road from me, and I'm have a lot of athletes showing up and showing out and turning pro. Like I would love to be up there myself. So right now it's been interesting. My affirmations in the past have kind of been around like, hey, like you're a great leader. You're a fantastic friend. You're someone who people need to have in their life. And now they've kind of switched. Justin, you're going to give today your absolute best from training. Justin, you're going to nail your diet today. Justin, today, everything you do is going to be intentional to get you to nationals in 2023. The little things like that. Today, I woke up at the highest body weight that I have been so far this prep to this off season, 258.4. And man, I was a little nervous. I turned around and right away, I didn't love what I saw in the mirror. I was like, oh man, you're getting a little too fat. You're getting a little too this, Y, X, Y, and Z. And then I looked and I'm like, homie, you look jacked. Like you never look this good in your life. And I'm starting hitting some poses and I've got some striations and stuff popping. And I was like, nah, you're the man, bro. Like you are on your way. And like I literally said that to myself today. I was like, you're on your way, bro. And then, I went on and went to the bathroom and did my business to start the morning and shit. But I was like, I woke up, I told myself, like, you're on your way, bro. So, right now it's I believe in myself everywhere so much, but I have a lot to prove with myself from the bodybuilding perspective. And now it's nice because I can finally go all in with it. So I feel really confident about what's going to happen here.
Excellent, Justin.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I want to touch on this past Olympia, just about a month ago, whatever it was. Yeah. So a couple of questions from your perspective, and I asked somebody else, I can't remember who it was right now because I have a lot of these conversations every week.
Yeah.
Biggest surprise in terms of like a positive surprise in Open Men's Olympia, and then for you, biggest disappointment in Men's Open Olympia. And then if you want to touch on any other categories or any other athletes, feel free, please.
My biggest surprise, this is not going to be a popular answer amongst people, but I want people to really give this some thought. Michael Krizo went from being this social media guy. We only get front shots and we never see the back. And, he's never conditioned. Well, his posing is weird. Well, he's not even a pro yet. Well, come over to the pro league. Well, motherfucker, he did. And he got 12th. He got number 12 in the world. 5 months ago, he was an amateur. In terms of the IFBB, he was an NPC competitor. And I don't want to, people who are like, oh, well, he was so good and all that stuff. I don't want to hear any of that. We saw Blessing do the same. Blessing went over. He won every PCA show that there possibly was for. He turned pro like 10 times. And like, he came over and there was an adaptation period. And, we're still in it. I mean, he won the Indy Pro this year. He looks phenomenal. I think he won Indy, right? I think Blessing won Indy. I can't keep them all straight.
Indy and New York. He won too.
That's right. And he won fucking, yeah, dude. Like that's huge. No, he didn't show up and show out at the Olympia. He was never going to in that lineup, not yet. Michael Krizo placed one spot below Ian Valier, who we know is a superstar, who's won tons of shows. He was 7th in the world the previous year. Michael's posing was on point. His stage presence, in my opinion, could use a little bit of work, but I'm talking from the cheap seats. So who am I? He's big, he's muscular, he can use a little bit more conditioning, but he showed up the most peeled he's ever been. And I thought that's a future superstar right there, man. And people are rooting against him because he likes talking shit on social media. So what? It's better than these boring freaking people posting the same things over and over and over again, trying to be motivational. But like I think what he brings, what Blessing brings, what Nick brings, I love it. I also will say, it'll be interesting when a guy who wins an Olympia is a guy who talks shit, because we never seen that before. Phil Heath wasn't some guy. Phil Heath was arrogant, but he didn't talk shit. Like he wasn't running his mouth. Nick's going to win one, or I mean, maybe a guy like Chriso at some point down the road. Maybe a guy like Blessing at some point. I'm not sure if Blessing has what it takes. And again, I'm talking from the cheap seats. I'm not trying to demean anything. I'm just I one of these guys going to win an Olympia who runs their mouth. And I love it. I think I mean, dude, this is a sport, right? This is a sport. In a pageant, you don't run your mouth. It's like chess, right? In chess, you don't talk shit while you're playing the other guys. No, this isn't chess, dude. We all have demons inside of us that we want to let out, and we let them out through the sport. So, surprise, I thought Crizo was going to get last place. I thought he was just going to get absolutely smoked. I really did. Just because the criticisms were all fair. Every criticism of that man was fair. Um, the the biggest disappointments, there's two, and this one's hard to say from a coaching perspective because I never wanted to seem like I'm demeaning anybody. Rami and Bonac just looked really old. And I think they still have some left in the tank. They both just looked really unhealthy. And I would love to be able to assist in these guys' blood work corrections, and see if there was something you could fix and kind of bring some more youth to them. But I think it's a little bit sad more than anything. But like with like the NFL, it's almost the end of the Brady and Rodgers era, right? Like Rami and Bonac have done their time. They've won their shows. They've impacted a lot of people. They've done a lot of things. I think they both have business ventures going on outside bodybuilding. But man, when you come out, not Rami, when Rami's coach comes out and says you're going to be seeing 2000 whatever Ronnie again, and that's how you show up. I think that was just slightly disappointing. And being a two-time champion, and man, I don't know why. I have no idea. I don't know what happened. He just looked really unhealthy, and I'm a little bit nervous about him doing the Arnold. If I'm being 100 with you, because once we're he's not going to win that. He's not going to win that show. Um, I'm not saying that from a doubtful or a hater perspective. I'm saying I'm being very real. What are we pushing for? Because something's clearly off. What happens if he gets fifth at that show? Is he done? How do you bounce back? How do you go from back to back Olympia to number 5 at the O, and then an underperformance at the Arnold? I mean, these guys are kind of heroes to everyone, who's around my age. We've grown up within bodybuilding knowing them. When I started in the sport, they were young guys. um, I would say those two. And man, the classic physique, the quality is absolutely insane. Women's physique wasn't too surprising. Natalia's young, she's fresh, she's hungry, she was ready to win. Bikini wasn't too surprising, but I didn't think they had the stones to do it. I didn't think they did. I like Maureen's look the most. I think Jen is an absolutely unbelievable champion. I do like Maureen's look the most. I thought it was really good. Um, Men's physique, the guys have beautiful physiques. Holy shit, man. Good Lord. I mean, if you put the men's physique champ, Chris Bumstead, and um, um, Hadi Chupan, Aaron Banks, Chris Bumstead, Hadi Chupan. You put all these guys uh, out there, and you just ask the general public, "Hey, who would you look like? Who would you want to look like the most?" I mean, 100% of men are going to say Aaron Banks. Like that. That's kind of like the ideal men's physique, and so it's perfect for the sport. It'll be interesting. I think Boy Diaz coming back next year. I think that'll just be fun. It'll just be spicy. I don't think he's a threat to win, but that'll be spicy. Um, Women's fitness, I think we all kind of saw that coming. Bodybuilding, yeah, Shaw's great. She's legendary. Sid Gillum is legendary. Definitely a shout out to Jess Reyes Padilla. She's a fellow Austinite. She lives up in Georgetown, so it's dope to see her get number 2 in the world. Man, that's crazy. That's really cool. So the Olympia was great, man. That was phenomenal.
And shout out to Sean Clarita too for getting his second 212 title, right?
If I don't, not everyone will agree with this. If I was going to put money on it, I'm putting money on Sean for that Arnold.
Hmm.
I think he's the best bodybuilder in the world. I do. I think that, yeah, I think I mean, the conditioning is unbelievable. The pop is, I mean, if he had 6, 7 more inches, he truly would be considered, just my opinion. Who the fuck am I? But I think he'd be considered the greatest to ever do it. Like, I think he would be that dominant, but I'm not sure why he can't achieve that with his current stature, because I mean, I could see him and Nick being the top two at the Arnold. Matt Jansen's going to have a good day with those two. I could see it. And I can see Sean winning. I think Sean beats Nick, and I love Nick. Nick is phenomenal. No one loves this sport more than Nick. No one will sacrifice more than Nick. I think Sean beats Nick in a lot of. We haven't seen each other. It's all hypothetical. I think Sean beats Nick in a lot of poses.
It's gonna be fun, man.
I can't wait. I
Okay.
can't wait.
Okay, so wrapping up here, I do want to ask you, since you're an NPC athlete currently and coach a lot of NPC athletes, and I just kind of want to stick to like the kind of like the opens men bodybuilding, but from last year's pro qualifiers, major pro qualifiers, were there any? And it could be guys that won the overall, it could be guys that won their class or whatever, got second place, turned pro at nationals. Any guys really, when you saw their physiques, on their pro qualifying stage and when they got their pro card or overall, whatever, really like, blow your mind, or did you say, hey man, like that guy, he's got a bright future in the IFBB Pro League? If so, who is that guy or a couple of those guys, Justin?
Yeah, what's that nationals? Who won the national championship? What's that guy's name? Is it Walter? Is his name Walter? Whatever that guy, dude, he was
Walter Debs.
back. Oh my goodness. And then the guy that got second in the heavyweights, I believe to him, was also really good. There was a guy who got like 6th or 7th place in the heavyweights also. African American dude. He was Ken, maybe Ken something. He was just pretty far off in conditioning. That heavyweight class, I think there was the winner. I think it was the guy who got second to the winner, and then that Ken guy. Man, all three of those I really think could be big time. Cole Eastbold's a friend of mine. He's someone that I've watched, similar to Nate Spear, just work up the ranks in the right way. I would never count that guy out. I'm not sure how much prospect he has as a pro. I'm not saying he's going to be some Olympia guy, but I know that Cole's going to keep working. I know that he's going to show up in shape. I know that he's going to keep improving. I believe he's rather healthy, in terms of injuries and whatnot. I know he trains really hard, really smart. But I think that, he's someone that I could see 5 years down the road, people like, oh, I forgot about him. And, he surprises some folks at a show. But that guy who won the nationals overall, man, he was wild. The Stu, the guy who won Mr. USA, he'll be really big time before you know it. I mean, he'll win pro shows, and he's young. He's young. And I actually I do enjoy following him on Instagram. He seems to be really insightful. He seems to be a good thinker. And he puts some interesting stuff out. But he just improves, dude. It's like every time the guy posts a physique update, it's like what in the progress he's making. Like other people, he's making in a week what other people make in 2 months. And I know he's training hard. I met him at nationals, and I was like, dude, he is yacked up. That guy's gonna win pro shows. And he'll crack the Olympia top 10 at some point, which is just a phenomenal feat. I have no idea how much further he can go than that. Time depends. I thought he was probably the best overall champion of the year. If you put all of the overall champions in a lineup, I'm pretty sure Stu would win. His name Stewart, right? Or Stu?
He goes by Stu, but his full name is Stewart. I always call him Stewart. It's Beef Stew on Instagram.
That's right, Beef Stew on Instagram. Yeah,
he's got a great
man.
personality, man. Such a breath of fresh air in this hardcore, like all or nothing bodybuilding world, you know?
Yeah, I've never really actually chatted with him once. I passed him at Nationals. I was like, oh, hey, because there was a Q&A box he had up one time and someone was talking shit about me in there. And I responded to it and I was like, oh, man, they should at least be accurate with what they're saying. It was something about how I use macros in my preps or something. I was like, no, my clients are on meal plans. Yeah, you can say I'm a bad coach. If you think I'm a bad coach, that's okay, but let's at least be accurate with what we're saying. So like there was an LOL about that. I saw him at Nationals and I said hello and like made a joke or something. But yeah, if you put all the overall champions in a lineup, I feel pretty confident that guy really kind of smokes them all. No disrespect to the other guys. I think that guy really smokes them all, though.
All right, man. Justin, last question here for you. Going back to you, very focused and dial in for 2023 in terms of what you want to do and accomplish as a bodybuilder yourself. You want to be on that national stage. What is your goal if you get on that national stage? What do you want to accomplish this year?
I won't go up there unless I'm, feeling pretty good and I'll get a first call out. For the simple fact that I'm going to have a lot of athletes competing there too. And so if I'm going to take some selfishness onto myself, then it better be worth it. I'm not going to go up there. I don't want to go up there for a second call out. You only control so much. You control how good you are. If I'm seeing things, if I'm looking at things and I'm like, hey, I feel pretty good about this. I don't care the lineup and things like that. I care about how I'm looking. If I'm looking pretty good, then I'll go up there for sure.
Okay, cool, man. Well, hopefully before nationals, we'll get you back on. We'll kind of talk about the prep and all that stuff. Justin, thank you so much, man, for taking time out of your schedule, out of your Tuesday to come on, man, and just kind of catch us up speed from last year to kind of what your vision and goals are for this year. I greatly appreciate you, man, and just the energy, the positive energy that you bring. Before I do a really quick outro and I let you go, any final thoughts, any final words that you have for us? Give us your Instagram, any shout outs, anything you want to leave with us. Platform's yours. I'll do a quick outro and then I'll let you go. So whatever you got for us, Justin.
Yeah, Instagram is at @JMihaly_. It's JMIHALY_. My podcast is Grow or Die Podcast. You can find us everywhere, including YouTube. On YouTube, I post some pretty helpful stuff. Maybe not, but Justin Mihaly, there's some pretty good stuff on there. And final thoughts, final words. I really enjoyed our conversation about the energy, and I want you guys to take that home. Influence the energy in the room. Don't be the influencee, be the influencer. When you walk in, make sure it's elevated. Make sure the vibe is immaculate. You control and cultivate your own energy, and you through that can manifest the next destination, the next step, and your next level of success in life. Be positive, be happy. It's unbelievable that we get the opportunity to be here together this year at this time in history. So make sure you take full advantage of it.
All right, man. Appreciate you. And thank you so much, Justin. Okay.
Absolutely, Quentin. Talk soon, man. Have a great one.
All right. All of you who are tuning into another episode of Behind the Muscle Podcast, I just want to say thank you so very much. If you guys have not done so already, please make sure you hit that subscribe button in regards to Behind the Muscle Podcast on YouTube. And then please take this episode with Justin. Make sure you share it on your Instagram stories. Please tag Justin, tag Behind the Muscle Podcast so that we know that you listened specifically to this episode and found great value in it, in which I know you did. And then, as always, I will leave you guys with this. Remember, behind the muscle, there's always a story. We'll catch you guys later.